Okay, so this video deviates from my usual cheerful style, but it's going to be sad. In the last video, I felt very self-conscious with the words that I was using, and my vocabulary just seemed so small and was like I wasn't explaining properly the concept of spirituality. I often get ahead of myself, stutter, mumble over myself. I'm still a novice with social skills, speaking skills too. There's a whole video my entrepreneur friend sent me in the Fastlane forum, which I haven't watched, and it's on speaking. But I do intend to view this video as soon as I can, as soon as I remember. So, when out on my travels with my father, or by myself, I start to feel self-conscious, anxious, worried about what other people think. And the purpose of this video isn't just to rant about my own situation. There's no utility in that. There's nothing of value to be gained from it. But it's to bring awareness to the issue that is self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is the cause, or at least it's half true. And yes, I can foresee genetics playing a role in this, but I'm more of an epigeneticist than epigeneticist than a determinist, which I think means I'm more concerned about the environment and how environments impact behaviour and bring out the genes rather than the genes just being latent and there's nothing you can do about them. That would require a deeply stoic approach that I don't have. I believe that intelligence can be learned mindsets can be learned. I believe that personality can be learned. You can learn consciously to be less introverted. I believe that. And because these concepts are so nebulous and they're only half true, no one is going to prove me wrong unless they're a complete nerd with no social life. So, making myself a coffee here. I've always felt somewhat insecure of myself. Oops. Questioning everything and ending up in a haze. It's because you play video games, eat junk food, which includes food that is in plastic packaging, Andrew Huberman has a video on fertility. Plastics have been shown to decrease your chances of conceiving a child. Also, it's linked to issues with depression, anxiety, brain changes affecting your genetics. If you have a baby and it survives childbirth, well, there's more chance of it getting Down syndrome, autism. So self-sabotage works in the long term because it could potentially carry on over to your children and their children. Self-sabotage, financial self-sabotage, means that you'll get less in the future. You'll get a lower quality wife. And then when your kids are born, they're going to have lower quality circumstances. And self-sabotage works in the now by taking you out of the now. When it even happens when you listen to music. It's weird that for the past 24 hours I've been having negative thoughts despite having a very strong spiritual practice, which I've fallen off, lost about 20 minutes a day from the previous few days over this week. We had a very rigid, very strict spiritual practice. And despite that, negative thoughts have been accumulating into turning me into a recluse. And when you scroll on your phone like a zombie, it's a symptom of your anxiety, but it also feeds into your anxiety. When you listen to music, like what I did yesterday, and specific bands as well, Bondage Fairies, Mindless Self-Indulgence, you can see clearly, or hear clearly, that none of these bands I was listening to, Jezebel Goldbergley, she does snail-pilled stuff, none of that's seen as wholesome at all. It's like emo music. Teaching young men who listen to it to be more emotional, because this is a conspiracy theory, of course, but the sounds frequencies traveling through to your brain to make you neurotic, and then with different music genres come different symptoms. The neurosis caused by hip-hop, modern hip-hop, I don't know if there's anything wrong with listening to NWA and that kind of stuff. I don't think so, but modern hip-hop, Will Smith, of course there's nothing wrong with listening to Will Smith, but when you listen to modern hip-hop, like fucking J. Cole, that kind of stuff, a lot of the time they're just flexing on you, talking about the money in the bank, the women that they're with. It's like a form of cuckold porn for your ears. and your mind registers it, so you end up on the outside looking in when you're with an intimate partner and you can't get hard without thinking of Kanye fucking your wife. And I know music isn't wholly to blame for anxiety. That would just be total bro science, but it could partly be to blame. Partly genetics, but it's more so the environment that brings those genetics out. If you're away from other people, then the genetics that you register as introversion will spill out onto the surface. The foods that you eat, especially the packaging that they're in. There's a good book on this called Astrogeneration by Dr. Anthony J, so it's not bro science at all. And then there's Countdown by Dr. Swan. When you live a sedentary lifestyle, and I'm a bit of a hypocrite here, I just started working out at home again a couple of days ago, adding that in onto my other positive habit of meditating and finally taking self-improvement seriously again. But it seems to be the quickest way out of anxiety and depression like symptoms, because the same can apply to anxiety and depression. It's what you consume. For me, it's music, but for you, you might not be a musical person, but you still experience high degree of anxiety. Well, that could be. In fact, I think there has been research related to. I think I Am Lucid had a video on music and the frequencies of music, which it's at a certain frequency that causes you to become depressed. So when that frequency is used, it's only logical that you get anxietytive symptoms as well. I highly recommend that you try and find that video after this one. But got an itchy nose today. For you, it could be video games and gain all that stimulation, and then in the real world, you have nothing, and you want an escape. It's more manifests itself more as an impatience, why you want to immediately get back to playing video games. The impatience also arises, I guess it's the same with music. I don't know a whole lot on that about this, but anime, watching cartoons as a grown ass man, films, TV shows, comparing yourself to a fictional character, comparing your relationships to fictional relationships, which are a lot of coloured haired girls on the internet, e-girls, e-thoughts like to do. I'm not Muslim, but you can look up Madhini Tajini. I think it's Tajini Madhini, Tajini Madi. Yeah, I think it's Tijani Madi. And you can see tons of women, and people like to identify with their anxiety as a quirk. You have to change your mindset slightly and view this as being something that's completely disgusting.